Hi, this is Kerry Artag with Wicked Stocks, bringing you the daily Tesla report for Friday, September 29th, 2023. Before I click on the charts, as usual, I'd like to encourage you to please click like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Wicked Stocks YouTube channel. Please share the content, if you would, with friends and colleagues. And check out wickedstocks.com, where we offer a full suite of both daily and weekly analytical videos, just like the Tesla report, daily analysis in the SPY and the Triple Q, that is the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 ETFs, weekly analysis in the S&P 500 index, the NASDAQ 100 index, the long bond ETF, that is the TLT, as well as 2 individual stock picks a week that you never see on YouTube that cater to the 3 to 5 week swing trader out to the 3 to 5 month near term investor, always looking for 20% moves or better on those stock picks. In fact, this week we put out 2 stock picks, 5 to 10 minute videos each on NVIDIA and AMD. So you can check all of that out for free, actually, by signing up for wickedstocks.com. We offer a 5-day free trial up front. So if you can check out the NVIDIA analysis, the AMD analysis, recent stock picks we've done over the last few weeks, all the Q, SPY, S&P 500, everything for free. If you don't like what you see, you can bow out, cancel your subscription at no cost to you whatsoever. But you just might stay on for a while because I think you'll like what you see. Anyway, let's take a look at the big picture for Tesla, work our way into the day itself. Just a reminder that a few months ago, as we were testing this channel top here, I'd mentioned that having tested it, one should allow for a 1 to 2 month break back to channel support. And that is what happened. Within about 6 weeks, we tested the channel bottom that this week is at 233.95, rallied for 4 or 5 weeks, and then this last couple of weeks, we've given much of it back to 233.95, which is this week's channel bottom, and that has essentially held selling pressures for the week. I forget the exact low for the week, but it's pretty close. In fact, I can show you the daily chart that we were right on it, which is at 236.10 today. So 233.95 to 236.10 is your range of support. Now that we've tested it, above which 336.37 remains a 3 to 5 month likelihood, given the bullish state of affairs above. Now, when we test the channel top, I never like to say that the downside is a likelihood because that is sort of a counter trend move, right? But I always say you should allow for. You shouldn't discount the possibility that we could test the channel base. We've tested it twice now in the last couple of months. 233.95, above which over the next 3 to 5 weeks or sooner, 286.39 in reach. Over the next 3 to 5 months or sooner, 336.37. So whatever that means to you as we test, if we break back into this zone again over the next day or two, you might reach for 290 out of the money calls that don't expire for at least a couple of months, or perhaps 340 out of the money calls that don't expire for at least 6 months. That way you preserve delta on the way up and eliminate theta, the time decay element, from wreaking havoc on the premium of your out-of-the-money call. So that is the big picture. And yes, if we were to close today, for instance, and that is the week itself, below 233.95, and I don't show that red line here. We don't have that chart today, but I will just mention that there should be a red line here climbing very close to this one, 1% below this one at 231.61. So if we settle today, Friday, the week itself, at 231.61 or lower, in other words, 1% below 233.95, then we have a meaningful sell signal into the 190s, which I once again do not show anywhere because we moved our charts around a little bit, but I will certainly show it next week. A descending channel bottom coming down, a rising 2/3 speed line coming up. They're in the upper 190s, a low 190s right now, and they are narrowing weekly. So that becomes a 3 to 5 week objective, I think, realistically. If we close today at 231.61 or lower, I think you could then buy, if you've got any out of the money calls, you might consider liquidating them all together and reaching for 195 out of the money puts that don't expire for at least a couple of months. I think it would only take 3 to 5 weeks to realize, but once again, you want to go further out in time. So that is the big picture. And we are above the long-term support at 233.95. And I will mention that on, where is the chart? I'm always combing through these charts. You don't see what I'm doing, but I will mention that we did close Thursday above this simple channel structure that today is at 243.96. And having come off of meaningful support at 233.95 couple of days ago and having closed above 243.96, I do think over the next 2 to 3 days, we should push into what is now in the low 260s and dropping daily. So holding above 243.96, your 3 to 5 day swing trade remains positive. It was a bottom picking opportunity anyway a couple of days ago for the 3 to 5 day time horizon, for the day trade, for the 3 to 5 week and 3 to 5 month, all of them opportunities when you test these long-term support levels. But if you've done nothing and you're a 3 to 5 day swing trader, it really is being long, getting long at 243.96, anticipating the low 260s over the next few days. On the way up today, I've got 251.54. That is a Fibonacci level. That would be right about here. I think it's a 50%. It might be a 3/8. I forget. It can contain intraday buying pressures, possibly for a good part of the day. I will say that if we push through 251.54 today, we could, by the closing bell, actually reach this low 260s resistance. You know, we could easily gap above Thursday's high as well, which was 247.55. I have that here. If we do 251.54, I would lighten up on its perceived strength. I do think if we gap higher and continue higher, yes, 251.54, solid level for aggressive intraday traders. But, you know, anyway, I'll leave it at that. If we push through 251.54, the 260.44 to 260.88 area in reach today, where we could top out actually through next week. This is a combination descending 2/3 speed line and channel top that can contain buying through next week, and we could fall back into the low to mid 230s again within a week or two of doing so, back to that long-term support area. Now, I will also mention that if we close above 260.88 today, and I think that's highly unlikely, but if so, then it looks something like this. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we reach this 289.09 channel top, which is the same structure I showed a moment ago at 286.39 on the weekly chart as a 3 to 5 week target now above 233.95. And as I just mentioned a moment ago, if we close today above 260.88, and that's not going to happen, but if over the next few days we close above this structure dropping daily, then we're probably just 2 to 3 weeks away from reaching 289.09, where we could by that point in time top out into November trade. And if settled above, I'll take you back to this chart here. If we were to close above that 289.09 structure, 286.39 on the weekly chart, then we've got meaningful price acceleration, and we may be just another 3 to 5 weeks away from reaching this longer term resistance now at 336.37. Let's talk downside here today. If we break or open below 243.96, we do have these minor points, but there is a real possibility that we could fall to 236.10, the beginning of a range of long-term support down to 233.95 that can absorb selling through the rest of the year, and above which 336.37 remains a 3 to 5 month objective. If we close once again below 233.95 by a 1% margin, that's 231.61 or lower today, I'm looking for the mid 190s essentially. I don't have that chart here, my regrets, but if you've been watching if you're a daily viewer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Combination, descending channel bottom, and rising 2/3 speed line that all converge over the next few weeks. You know, I don't think there's anything else that really needs to be fleshed out here. I'm going to leave you with this chart, most appropriate for the day. I will be back Sunday afternoon with Monday's Tesla. Please click like, share, subscribe. If you want to see that NVIDIA and AMD analysis we put out this week, check out wickedstocks.com. You have a great weekend.